Hey guys, so the task for the second module is going to be to try to do our best to identify a viable resource. So in the module overview, you find a bunch of repositories that you can look through, and I'm sure that your criteria are going to be a little different than mine. So I'm going to go through what some of my criteria are that should be common. I'm going to try to avoid going through a whole bunch of like linear algebra specifics. Let me just grab one of these. So I'm just clicking on each of these. They've all got kind of different navigation. You'll find a lot of resources overlap in each of them. In this one, this is the by CID. So here I'm going to go select my subject and go select the course I'm after. So I'm after, where the heck did linear algebra go? Okay, so scrolling down here, I'm seeing that I've got kind of options, right? You can do a little, click into each of these, kind of see what there are. You'll see on my kind of Word doc here that I'm just making notes about what I like or dislike about each one. Some of this won't make any sense to not math people probably because some of it is just like specifics about the discipline that I'm in. One of the things I'm looking for is I personally am looking for the availability of source code for the book so that I can remix it as I like with and keep the typesetting. That may or may not be important to you. The other thing I'm going to look for, like crucially, is there are a few resources that have these this kind of silly license that's a ND license. If you see a thing with a non-derivatives license, it's not, the book itself is free, but you're not allowed to remix it at all. For me, that's a big issue because my goal here is to create kind of a composite because I can't find a book that's exactly what I want. If your goal is to find a full textbook that you can probably get in a print edition, these no derivative licenses are actually a good thing for you because oftentimes you can purchase print copies of it for not very much money. And you can still hand out a open source, like an open book on the first day of class, right? So you don't have to deal with students emailing you for the first 2 weeks saying, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have my book yet, right? You can just point them at the ebook, but if they still want that tactile experience of highlighting a textbook, you can often find print copies. So I don't like the no derivatives license. That's the ND there. Some people do. This might or might not be to your kind of liking. Looking at one of these things, there's often a go to material. You have to kind of dig through these just a little bit to go find exactly what you're looking for. Yada yada, right? Like this is all math stuff. We can just kind of go in here, and if you keep clicking, you can usually find a download link so you can actually read the silly thing. I happen to not like this book, but it's not, yeah. Most of what I don't like about this book is that he cribbed pretty heavily from another book that's pretty famous, and he didn't do a great job remixing material. So that's kind of my process, right? So I just went through each of these repositories. Let's see, LibreText has some weirdness in it, so I'll show you that one specifically. When you go look in LibreText, you might just say something like, okay, I'm looking for a math thing, and we're going to go in here, and the bookshelves are kind of what you want. LibreText is a weird one in that it has repositories that are not only full textbooks, but also activities and some lesson plans. It has some YouTube videos. It's got a whole bunch of stuff. This note is pretty clutch. They do all look like trash online. Some of them you can download a version that's better. So if I go into their linear algebra ones, these all kind of look like garbage. Cutler is one, for instance, that I know looks like garbage here. It's just so freaking clicky in here. The thing about Cutler is you can buy a print copy of Cutler, and it's a pretty decent looking book. I found that out up here. Uh, so as you go through the repositories, you'll see the same kind of usual suspects over and over again. You'll see in here me writing like some little notes. There's one weird thing in here. I found that UC Davis has two linear algebra textbooks that seem to borrow heavily from one another. Not sure why. Ask Melissa. She had some thoughts, but not completely sure. Um, some of these things I just like standing questions. So this is just me going through getting first impressions from each book. You guys have shopped for textbooks before. This is basically the same process. Um, the one thing I want to say is that like open the OER Commons, or sorry, one of the things I want to say here, the OER Commons is a really big thing, right? So when you go in here and you search under math, let's see, and I want, whoops, I think I clicked the wrong thing. I want community college and hit search. I'm getting lots of stuff. We can grab a keyword and slim our search down a little bit. One of the things about OER Commons is there's so much stuff. So there's pages and pages and pages of stuff in here. Just tons of it. What are these things? Like, some of them are full textbooks. Some of them are just slideshows, like lecture slides for a course. A lot of these don't happen to be relevant to my area. This is a good spot to look for chapters. So if you find that the resource, like if you've identified a research source that works for a chunk of your product, but not, or a chunk of your course, but not all of it, like you need some specific like supplemental material, this is a really decent spot to look for that kind of chapter-wise supplemental stuff. There's lots and lots of weird little stuff in here. So highlights of things I found in here. I found some web work problems. So web work is like a like an online homework system, and I found a whole set of web work problems for one of the textbooks that I kind of think is a decent one. So those might be great. I found a whole bunch of Beamer slides, which are like PowerPoint slides for presenting material. So like I can keep that as a backup resource to show my students. Maybe there's YouTube videos that go with them or something. I found a whole bunch of YouTube videos actually. Lots of the usual suspects. Like I got to this one last, so I had seen Cutler a bunch of times. I had seen there's a Hefman a bunch of times. I'd seen a bunch of these books several times. They show up in lots of the repos. It's fine. Like you just skip them when you see them again. I found a full online course that was in here. It's called Linear Algebra 1 in English. Feels really authentic because dude has a strong Dutch accent. You'll find all sorts of strange stuff in here. But sometimes you find little chapters, sometimes you find little modules, sometimes you find just like individual videos. There's a lot of Khan Academy videos that for some reason got put in here. This can be your like last. I would suggest that you go to this the OER Commons last. Honestly, the other repositories are a bit quicker to search through. Open Oregon is another kind of big one, but it's not quite as enormous. So if we search my kind of topic in here, I get a few. I did find that I got different ones in the Open Oregon. So by the time I got to my third one here, like by the time I got to the Open Textbook Library, I felt like I had pretty much seen everything there was to see. Then in Open Oregon, I found a couple new ones. Not bad. In OER Commons, I actually did happen upon a book that I probably am going to use or at least adapt. So I found a book that I'm really happy with. I think that's going to be my focus. I need to see what I have a little bit of remixing to do with it, but not a huge amount. So that's kind of where I'm at the end of the week. and this is your task for the week. Just make a Word document going through, give your kind of first impressions of like, what did you find? What can we do? And then next week we're going to go through and we're going to add to those. We're going to try as best we can to take the things that we found and combine them or remix them into a usable product. There's going to still be a little bit of Canvas work at the end of this where you have to like go through individual assignments and change references to chapter numbers or page numbers or these kind of little clicky tasks that Canvas doesn't make super easy. But hopefully at the end here, we get you a product that you can use and you can just drop in and change those little references, and this will be good to go. My hope too is that we can end up with a version that has a print copy available. So one of the things, I'm not keeping track of it here because I know that I can produce a printed document from LaTeX, which is what I'm after. One of the things you might want to keep track of is which of these are available in print and which ones aren't. Because it's super easy to note as you're going through. It's a little hard to go back through and check which ones were which. So this little note sheet will be your deliverable for the week. Thanks much. Good luck in your hunt.